Okay, well, let's just do it again. We'll do it live.
Do it live.
Well, welcome back to Rouge Reviews. I'm still the cute one. That's Freckles.
I don't agree with that. But you are the smart one.
That's
because
true.
Of all the videos I watched last week, granted, I've watched like 4. But of all the videos I watched, none of them made the call that you did.
Oh, yeah, Lady Loki, huh?
Lady Loki. Spoiler review.
Yeah.
Spoiler warning.
Full spoilers ahead because, well, honestly, why would you search for this before watching the video? So
Well, I mean, we've already spoiled the big twist, so.
Yeah.
But
he meets Loki, and Loki is a girl.
Lady
And
Loki.
yeah, it's pretty awesome. The whole build up to that, and the reset bombing was pretty awesome.
Yes, and the timelines everywhere. They're freaking out. So I think both of us were a little right in different ways. It really feels like, I don't know if Lady Loki and now I guess Loki followed her through the portal door thing. But
yeah, I'm not sure if she intended that or not. I couldn't really tell if that was what she wanted.
Yeah, like so the TVA they're just frantically running through doors to there's Lady Freckles back there. They're just frantically running through doors to try to fix things.
Lady Sparkle Pants.
And I don't know, like Lady Loki sent those like eraser things into different time areas. So whatever things like that's screwing up the time frame. I don't know if they're running to try to stop them, because if they're not there like instantly and kick them off instantly, they're going to get erased too, I would think.
Well, no, they were all sent to the sacred timeline. They were all sent to the main timeline. So when they got reset, a whole bunch of resets happened on a single timeline.
Oh, okay. So it's just branching. Okay.
It branches, yeah. So when it branches, that means it's going to have a whole bunch of alternate timelines, which I mean is fairly clearly going to create the multiverse.
Yep.
I
so
I don't know where they're going.
I think we were both kind of right, but Loki's creating the multiverse, and Lady Loki, you definitely called. Something I'm still like, the more I read in this episode, the whole the timekeepers, like there's something sketchy going on at the top of this organization. I mean, Morpheus said he's never met him, and
yeah,
that Renslayer or whatever her name is, I don't really know. It's a weird name for an office lady or the judge or whatever.
Yeah. But Buffy the Renslayer, yeah.
Yeah. So apparently she has some sort of contact, but she even kind of reacted in an interesting way about them.
Well, what if it's a total sham? Like what if they're like keeping the timeline for themselves?
I think it is.
Like what if they overhauled the timekeepers and they're the ones keeping them shut out or something?
Yeah, something like that. Or there's like one person behind it and not the 3 timekeepers or whatever. But there's something going on that's not what they presented it as to us. Like,
well, it just seemed very propaganda-like when Loki was talking to Morbius.
Yeah, and I loved how when he was talking to Morpheus, how he just called him out on like his like ignorance of the whole thing, of like,
right,
like you're just happy just doing this, and like the end goal is this whatever peace thing, and then is there a reason for you to continue to exist, and like your existence is only from the timekeepers. And also, like, I was thinking, like, what are the, like, Morpheus is clearly interested in jet skis, and like seems like a fun pleasure activity for him, but
he can't do anything.
What do they do?
Just live there? I don't really understand that.
Yeah, like, do these people have a time off, or is it just, do they sleep even? I mean, like,
yeah, it seemed kind of weird. It seemed like everything we've seen so far is one day, and I really doubt in real time that was one day.
Yeah. Well, I feel like the amount of research they were doing and stuff and like testing things out, which that was another thing that was awesome of Loki, to figure out that whole you can't really create variances right before a disaster that wipes everything out anyway. And then going to Pompeii to test that was pretty awesome.
That was pretty awesome, yeah.
I would say something I thought of is like, if you have to go to those things to test things out, like, or if that's where Lady Loki has been hiding out, is she only in these locations for like 2 minutes and then has to like hop to like how far back can you go to where you can set things off that don't trigger a
Yeah,
variance?
I wasn't really sure on that, but I also was under the impression that there was a what do you call it? That even when the tragedy happened, that she could just immediately go back because she has that.
Yeah, but
Uh,
so
that
another part of that is you would think then if she kept going to this Walmart and going back to there because it was her like comfort place or whatever, and
right.
there's only one timeline, wouldn't there be like 60 of her there?
I'm not 100% sure how
Or
that works.
yeah, I would think it would start compounding, or else if she's not there, but if she was there in the sacred timeline, and then she goes back to it for it to still be a sacred timeline, I would think she would still have to be there
I don't know.
because it's not a branch. So I feel like there's a lot of like there's a lot of variant things, or not, that's probably not the right word, but there's a lot of variables that like they kind of address, but I don't feel like they fully thought through in the show. They just kind of want to present like the overall idea. Like Loki was talking to Morpheus about going to Asgard before Ragnarok and saying something about throwing Hulk off the bridge and like setting the fire or the city on fire. I mean, he could set the city on fire, but if he throws Hulk off the bridge, what happens to Hulk? Does he get on the ship? Does he end up back on Earth?
Right. Now,
Does he
because
do the snap? Like,
so like that's what I didn't understand completely was that you can not affect a lot of things
mhm.
because it's a completely catastrophic event.
Yep.
But let's say that Pompeii happens and you simply leave the area.
Yeah.
Like let's say Pompeii happens, but you told somebody early enough to where they were able to get away enough distance to survive.
Well, then I would think it would create a branch.
Right. So like, is it just because he didn't give them enough time? If
I
he
think
started
so.
an hour beforehand,
Right.
would it have meant?
I think so, and that's where I came up with the question with the Lady Loki hanging out in that Walmart. Like, how much time does she actually have to spend at each of these locations before she has to dip out? And does she then have to go to a different location, or can she just keep resetting? Like, is she kind of living in the same 2 minutes in this Walmart over and over? But apparently, there's
Yeah.
not multiple versions of her there.
Well, I was sort of thinking that almost, if not all of those people could be her at once. But from what I could gather, she can only
yeah,
be
I think
in one person at one time. So I don't really know.
Yeah,
Uh,
and something else too about the whole time stuff. Not really from this episode, but like maybe the previous episode. But either way, like the whole Steve Rogers thing and him going back in time at the end of Endgame.
Yeah.
How did that not create a branch timeline? And if it didn't create a branch timeline, then he's in the sacred timeline that whole time, and he's not doing anything to like interact with any events that have been happening.
I feel like this is affecting the sacred timeline.
Oh yeah, that's you're mutating there for sure.
Yes. So I don't know. I'm having conflicting thoughts on how they planned on incorporating this. It really feels like they sort of like retcon the whole thing, almost like it.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, this is totally what happens because it was supposed to happen.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. Loki saw an opportunity to grab the Tesseract and did so.
Yep.
Not even 10 seconds after he does that, he's arrested as like a time thief. He didn't like steal time like on purpose.
Right.
He was
and
just,
we don't even know if he went to a different time. He might have just gone to a different place on the planet.
Like a different location. That's all that it said. It was like the Gobi Desert or something.
Yeah, he went from New York to Mongolia, but it didn't say it was a different time.
Right. So
but him moving that,
why tracking him like that?
Well, the way I read it was him doing that then prevented him from going or being taken as prisoner to Asgard like originally had happened prior to the Endgame timeline stuff.
Okay, but arresting him as a time thief or whatever, he still doesn't do all that. It still all doesn't happen.
Right. Like they'd have to like reset, like, well, who knows how far back? I guess it depends on how far back the reset thing happens. Does it go far enough back that it prevents
I don't
him grabbing
know.
the Tesseract?
Did they reset what happened in the desert, or did they reset what happened in New York? Did they do both?
I think it resets the whole branch. Like I think it resets the entire universe at that. Like it's all one timeline and it starts to branch, and they clip that whole branch. So I don't think
Yeah.
it's a place. I think it's everything. Like
Okay.
everything gets erased so that the original continuum maintains. But
Yeah, I understand that. So
like it would have had to go back prior to him picking up the Tesseract. But then if he didn't pick it up there, then it would have just been on the ground and the Avengers could have grabbed it there in Endgame, but they didn't because he took it. Like there's a lot of like, I get like they're trying to use the TVA and do stuff, but there's so many little variables that they're trying to have play into things that it's like they're
right.
creating a bunch of plot holes because it's like maybe they're going to tie up this all up at some point, but right now it looks like there's tons of loose ends just to try to fit this narrative.
I'm just saying Red Skull is sitting up on his planet just pissed.
Yep.
I'm just saying.
Well, I
he's
mean,
like, wait a second. Hold on. What did I have to do?
well, I mean, look at Black Widow, Spider-Woman.
Right.
She died because of Soul Stone. They had to trade for it, but there's a box of them sitting in Casey's little cart.
Yeah, I mean, they don't work in the TVA, but you take one of those and drop it in the multiverse.
Yep.
And it's going to immediately have its life back. Whatever.
Which I guess they in Avengers Endgame they had to do the things they did to acquire it to do what they needed to do, and the TVA could have easily just dumped things in, but at that point they're not just maintaining the timeline, they're affecting it.
You're telling me that instead of saying all of that was supposed to happen, the TV, I mean, I'm telling you, Loki was found within seconds of him doing that.
Yep. But also
almost as if they knew it was going to happen before it happened. And if they knew it was going to happen before it happened, doesn't that mean it was supposed to happen?
Well, but they clearly have the ability to time travel. And in this episode, they explained at the Renaissance Fair thing, because Loki asked why can we come back before and stop it? But them coming back before would have created another Nexus event, which would have created two splits. So they know when it's going to happen, so they can jump in. But it's also weird that they can't jump in like when these groups are getting attacked, that they don't know to jump in at that moment to help them. They conveniently keep showing up after they're attacked, but they've already known to show up because of the split.
Why wouldn't they have shown up when 2014 Thanos showed up in 2024?
Because apparently that was supposed to happen.
Why wouldn't they just go arrest Thanos?
Because it's apparently supposed to happen according to them. That's where like, who are you to make these decisions and what's what? But then also like there's also all these weird plot gaps and things. But overall, this episode was awesome.
This episode was fantastic. Like, I'm really glad that Loki didn't just submit, like when Morpheus was calling him and saying, okay, I want to be part of the TVA. No, he went straight back to mischief. He jumped right through the time portal.
And I'm like, as awesome as this episode was, I feel like either they're going to do a really slow episode next episode that like skips out on all the action of the franticness at the end of this one.
Yeah.
Or the next episode is just going to still be, rolling down the hill. Either we're going to be frantically following, like trying to get things going. I almost feel like they might jump to like, it'll be an episode of the two Lokis kind of discussing things or something and figuring things out, and everything else is ignored. And then the following episode is the TVA reacting to everything. But either way,
I think it's going to be the opposite of that. It's not going to have either Loki in it. It's going to be the TVA having an absolute shit fit, or it's going to take us to some other part of this entire story that we're totally missing. Maybe it'll go back and show us where they reached that New York and the desert or whatever.
Yeah. Either way, I think the next like 2 or 3 episodes are going to be fantastic episodes because of kind of where this set up. And I still think they've been so shady about the timekeepers that there's got to be something overall involved there. Like
I do.
Lady Loki Like, well,
Elder
even Loki was trying to get
or-
Lady Loki to join him to control the TVA, but she really seems like she's trying to just destroy the TVA. So she
Yeah.
knows something.
right.
So I think she's right now
And if they're
portrayed
the same
as,
person to be believed, then
yeah,
I trust that the knowledge is there.
yeah.
So
And I have a feeling she's going to tell him at some point, and then they're going to work together. But I really feel like they're portraying her as the villain right now. But overall, the timekeepers or someone at the top is the actual villain of the whole series, or this season at least.
right. No, I agree.
But yeah, great episode.
Well,
Any bold predictions that will be played out next week that no one else has the scoop on?
no, just that I do think the timekeepers are evil, and or being held hostage. Other than that,
Okay, I agree. I agree.
All
I
right.
think it's been a great setup to the season, and I think it's only going to get better.
right.
But yeah,
I
you
I don't have any crazy predictions like a Lady Loki prediction like before, so
Yep.
I got no clue.
All right. Well, you probably heard it here like fifth.
Or sixth, potentially even on a completely different day.
Yeah. Well, at least this time we're getting out the day of the episode coming out.
Well,
Granted,
it
we're
depends on
like
what part of the world you're in.
that's true, but like we're late in the day. We're not 4 days behind though, like the last time.
Yeah, we should get a VPN and start streaming it from like India, like the day before.
That would be useful.
That's the move.
Then we could have a sponsor like NordVPN or something, or what are the other?
Right.
Yeah.
And we can be wearing our Raycons and playing Raid Shadow Legends.
Yep.
Well, hit us up.
Yep.
We're here. Bruce
But-
Reviews.
Ruse Reviews. We'll see you next week.
Bye bye.